Halo Campaign Evolved came out this week and has been getting mixed reviews to say the least. But the real question is this remake anything special or nothing more than just a mere asset flip? Well, let's find out in my review of this game. What's up everybody, it's Mike here, aka BFG, and in today's video we're going to look at the latest game from 343, Halo Studios, being Halo Campaign Evolved, which is a remake of the first Halo game, and now they remade it in Unreal Engine. If this is your first review that you're watching here of mine, I review games a little bit differently. Instead, I put them into three categories, being buy it, which means get the game the moment you can, you do not want to miss out on playing it. Wait for it, meaning wait for it to go on sale or wait for it to come to your favorite subscription service of your choice before you decide to play it. Or avoid it, which means stay away from this game and pretend like it never existed. Kind of like Halo 5. Before we get into it, I just want to say, Halo was one of my first ever FPS games that I played, and was one of the first games I really got addicted to in the early 2000s. And the Halo game that I really got attached to specifically was Halo 2. In fact, I still have my copy right here. See, it's the original copy. Literally has the game manual, and the disc still works. So, and I've had this ever since the early 2000s. And I remember the first day I ever experienced the game is when I went over one of my friend's house and they were playing their older brother's copy of the game. And before I go on, I just want to say, if you really never got to experience the first three Halo games, I really do feel sorry for you. I mean, you really missed out on literally the peak multiplayer and single player FPS experiences, at least according to me. Because they were really the peak games at the times. They were really the it games. Because not really often at all, we saw a game that both had an amazing campaign and an amazing multiplayer to come with it. And it was really the first time we got to see both of those things all packed into one game. And from then on, that would eventually set the standards for what a FPS game should be. A game that not only has a great campaign, but also one that has a very extensive and deep multiplayer. And after that, it really shifted FPS games into a whole new level and made FPS games really raise the bar and raise the standard ever since the first three Halos came out. Really, it was the best game at the time because no one had what Halo and Bungie was able to do at that time. So it really just shifted, honestly, the whole gaming industry as a whole because it was just so great and so amazing. And like I said, I'm really sorry that not everybody got to experience that, and I'm honestly grateful that I had got a chance to actually experience that and pick up the trilogy during Halo 2, so I actually was able to not miss out on the Halo 2 Xbox Live days or the Halo 3 Xbox Live days. So I'm really grateful that, and I'm just grateful that I got to be a part of seeing one of the most iconic trilogies of all time. So I just want to thank my friends Frankie and Chris for really showing me what peak gaming was at that time. So thank you guys for that. You know, it got me really addicted to video games. Now, let's fast forward to today. And where Halo is definitely doesn't muster up to the same hype or even garner the same praise that it once had before back then. It is safe to say that the Halo series most definitely fell off, and it's very far fallen off from the juggernaut that it once was in the industry. But has 343, once again, Halo Studios redeemed themselves and put out a banger Halo game that matches up to the Halo games of old, or is it just another flop? Let's get into it. When this game first got shown a while back, I really didn't know how to feel about it. I liked the idea of replaying the first Halo game in the new engine, but I also thought, will there be some innovation to how the game plays? Would there be improvements or quality of life changes to the campaign to make it fit in more of today's standards? How much change actually is needed in the game itself? Well, after beating the game yesterday, I have to say there was nothing that has been changed to qualify remaking this game. To be honest, this game felt like more of an asset flip than anything. Sure, it was made in a brand new engine that never been made in a Halo game before, but that is all I felt like. It was just a graphical update. Nothing that really justified making this game at all. It felt sort of hollow, like 343 made this game out of obligation, not because they wanted to, but more or less because they had to, which is not good at all. But the good thing is that it is Halo Combat Evolved, and it's the game that us Halo fans all came to love. Bad news is that it plays too much like the first Halo Combat Evolved. Yes, they added the ability to sprint and changed a few dialogues and cutscenes here and there, but that was pretty much about it. No real quality of life improvements to be made. This isn't at all on the same level of remake as Resident Evil remakes or even a Dead Space or Silent Hill 2 remake. There was no significant changes to any of the levels to make it more streamlined or make it feel more connected or pretty much add quality of life changes to some of the things that they had in the original. For instance, like the library. The library is still the same length in the original as it is in this remake. So they really didn't change anything at all. They did add some new missions, and believe me, we'll get to that a bit later. But there were no new added mechanics other than sprint, like I said, to make it feel like something better than the original at all. There was really nothing new. It's just a new engine, and yes, some of the vistas in this game look really stunning. And in the Unreal Engine, it just really heightens that just wondrous mystique and wondrous feel that the ring of Halo actually has. Looking up and seeing the ring, it just like the vistas and like the backgrounds in this game are just really beautiful. But the performance, on the other hand, is another thing entirely, because it suffers from the usual Unreal Engine downfalls, being the performance. And on PC, it isn't the greatest. In fact, there were a lot of times where enemies were moving in like 1 or 2 frames. And I don't mean like faster or slower than the frames I was going. I mean, in general, 1 or 2 frames. And these weren't enemies so far away that I couldn't notice it unless I was zoomed in with a sniper scope. No, these were enemies that were right in front of me as I was running up to them or driving over them in a vehicle, that they were moving literally 1 or 2 frames per second. In fact, some of the later levels in the game with the Flood and the Covenant fighting one another are so chaotic that my game froze for like a minute or two so it could catch up to all the action going on. And in a shooter game especially, on tougher difficulties where you need to have really sharp reactions for stuff like that, and just to have things like that happen is just really unacceptable, especially this day and age. Honestly, I didn't play this game on console, but I can imagine it doesn't run any better on that. Ultimately, this really just feels lazy. And lazy is something I will be saying a lot in this review. Believe that. Because it really feels like they just took the original Halo game and put it in Unreal and just called it a day. And I doubt this game was playtested enough, because there are a lot of things that really needed to be ironed out, especially with the performance. And that brings me to my next point. There are no major changes to the campaign, like at all, like I said, other than a few dialogues and cutscenes. And that only happened like a couple handful of times. Like I said before, there were no major changes, and instead of in-game cutscenes now, we have pre-rendered ones. So I guess that is a change. Not a good change, but a change nonetheless. And you can really tell with these remakes how much the dev team puts an effort into the game itself. And depending on which devs actually cared about the game and which devs couldn't give a shit. So I'll leave it up to you to decide which category this Halo game fits into. Which is why, to me, this game comes off as lazy. Because in a game like Resident Evil 4 Remake, you can tell the people who made it actually had love for the original game, but weren't afraid to make those changes that benefited and made quality of life updates to the game itself from the original game, which made it really easy to remake it. So whether you like those changes in Resident Evil 4 Remake or not, it is subjective, but you cannot deny in those games there are stark differences between the original and the remake, making it feel like those two games are entirely different, even though they share the same characters, same setting, and same overall story. So yeah, the overall campaign itself feels lazy, and it really doesn't justify playing the new one over the original Halo, unless you only have a PS5, because this is the only Halo game you can play on that console. And for that, I say, I honestly really do feel sorry for you that this is the only Halo game that you get to experience if you've just been buying Sony consoles for all your life, and this is the first time you get to play Halo. I'm sorry, because this is really doesn't really hold up to the legacy that the actual first Halo really paved the way for first-person shooters. And honestly, to me, why they couldn't just port the Master Chief Collection to PS5 is beyond my comprehension. I mean, it's not all bad, right? Because at the end of the day, you're still playing the original Halo game with a new fresh coat of paint. But on the other hand, if you played this game before, there's really no reason to pick up this remake. And yeah, you get to see and play all the iconic levels, like the first arrival on Halo, the Pillar of Autumn, Truth and Reconciliation, experiencing the Flood, and the last mission, the Maw. But is it worth paying $50 for? Hell no. Definitely not at all. Now, let's talk about these new missions, shall we? That they added for this edition of Halo. See, there are 3 new missions to be precise, and they take place a year before the first Halo began, canonically. And these missions don't really add or take away anything from the game at all. They're just kind of there, you know? And they're not really great, but they're not really bad. They're really just mid. I don't know why they're here, but honestly, they aren't anything special. The only cool thing about these missions is, honestly, at the end, where you get to fly around in a Covenant ship, the Seraph, you know, shooting down other Covenant ships in space. That's literally the coolest part. And that is it, right? I'm right? Right? Oh, yeah. There is one new character in these missions that everyone is talking about, being Lieutenant Williams of Tiger Company, a woman ODST trooper who has a lot of people talking. And look, I really don't care for these characters. She was so significant to the story that I forgot her name and had to look her up for this review, because literally that's how long she's in the game for. She only appears in these missions, and rightfully so, because her writing is atrocious. And they really try so hard to make her this tough, badass, battle veteran, hard-earned character, but in the end, she just comes off as annoying and one note. And they just can't, like, do anything more. And, like, it just really comes off as flat and doesn't get the point to what her character should be. And I can't help but feeling this writing team is making a dig at the original games. And look, I just don't understand that at all, to be honest. All you guys know, right, that you are making you wouldn't be making these games if it wasn't for the originals, right? Like, your studio's even named after the series itself. And your first dev team name being 343 Guilty Spark, that annoying little shit. But it really fascinates me that these writers try to mock the games that came before it. It just comes off as really bitter and comes off in poor taste. And really doesn't do any justice to anybody making these games, because it feels like you really hate your audience, or you hate the people like me that actually played the Bungie Halo games before. But that's all I have to say about that character. Also, the guns in the new missions don't make sense. For instance, you have a battle rifle all throughout these missions, right? You can pick it up at any time. There's usually like some drop for this battle rifle. And the battle rifle didn't really come out to Halo 2, which is alright, but when you play the campaign, there's no battle rifles in the actual campaign. But there are SMGs in the campaign, which is another gun that also didn't come out until Halo 2. And there is another gun that was in Halo Reach, being the needle rifles. They were guns that are featured in Reach prominently, that were in the missions and didn't show up until the end of the campaign. And you see what I mean about the laziness of these devs? Like, if you're gonna add weapons, make it for the whole game, or don't add them at all. Because what is the point of adding a BR in 3 fucking missions out of the whole Halo campaign, and then just taking it out? Like, what is the point of that? And what is the point of having an SMG that I don't think was in the new missions, but is featured in all of the campaign, but wasn't in the original game? If we're not going to put guns in the original game, why don't we just put all the guns that weren't in the original game and make it a little bit, I don't know, better, make it more fun, make it newer, make the experience different from the original Halo? And that's what I mean. Like, if you're going to add weapons, just make it for the whole game, or don't add them at all. And it would have been fun to use those weapons in the campaign. It would have made it a bit different, but I guess that's one more thing you fucked up on too, right? Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the fact that there is skins that you can only get when you get the premium edition of the game. And yes, you heard me, there are cosmetic items you can buy in a single player game. What a joke. And the best part is, you ready for this? There's no multiplayer in this game at all. You know, the game that had a great story and great PvP multiplayer now just has a story and no multiplayer. You can at least play co-op, but that's about it. Once again, the laziness of 343 strikes again, folks. I mean, you really can tell they don't give a fuck about the series at all. It's funny how in Master Chief Collection, you can play the single-player game of Halo 1 and the multiplayer for the original game, but in a full-price remake of the game, there is no PvP multiplayer. And I've looked online, I've searched far and wide, and there seems to be no intention or no sign of them adding multiplayer in the future. So, I ask, what is the fucking point of this game? Other than it being a waste of time and money. Why pay $50 for this game at all? So what, you can get some dumb fucking skins for your armor and weapons and have no one else see them like a dickhead? To play 3 mid-new missions that don't really add to the overall experience? Like, I knew you guys were useless, but now I think you shouldn't even come out with this shit at all. It's a disgrace to the original Halo series. And the fact that you have been in charge of Halo for almost 20 years, that is 2 whole ass decades, and you have yet to make an actual good Halo game? You guys really are a disgrace to this franchise and honestly to gaming as a whole. And don't get me wrong, I really did like Halo Infinite when it first came out. I thought it was the best Halo game that 343 ever made. because they made the movement so nice and smooth, and the feel, it all was there. The campaign, it really wasn't anything special, but it was cool that it was the first open world Halo campaign, and the grappling hook was so amazing just to shoot that off and see anywhere you can go, and the traversal was amazing in that campaign. The fact that you also released a free-to-play version of the multiplayer was good as well, but you forgot to add any modes to the multiplayer at launch. And it goes to show you that you actually had a fan base out there that wanted Halo desperately to come back, but you fucked it up by not adding any modes and updating your shop weekly in that game, but not updating any of the playlists until months after release. And once again, you released a free-to-play version of the multiplayer. For what? I mean, this really goes to show just how dumb 343 is. I mean, you really are fucking dumb. You all have no clue on what you are doing, and you do not have any semblance of idea of how to make an actual good and competent Halo game. So the fact that you actually had the gall to go out there and write a character that shits all over Master Chief when Bungie can just do whatever at that point and make a great Halo game where you guys try so desperately and fail every single iteration of Halo that you guys make fails. And the fact that you turn around so bitter is just, it's just off. It's like I can't believe that you come off with that high horse, or just be that smug and say that, yeah, we're Halo Studios, we know how to make Halo, when you fucking had 20 years and you can't even make a good Halo game. To prove that you have no clue what you're doing, you had a easy win right here. You had a layup. It was an alley-oop. They passed you the ball in midair, my boy, to dunk that shit, because all you had was a great Halo game, being Halo 1. You had the story there. You had everything there. You even put it in a nice little fancy coat of paint saying, oh, we're going to make an Unreal Engine. And then you want to charge up to $70 so they can just get some cosmetics and play it 5 days early? For what? So they could beat the game before it releases officially and then never fucking play the game again? Because that's what I did. I beat this game and actually just uninstalled it and threw it in the trash where it belongs. And then I hopped on Master Chief Collection because that's where the actual good Halos are. They're right there because Bungie made them and you guys don't make them. So yes, I uninstalled it and hopped on Master Chief Collection because I wanted to play a good Halo game for once. Look, I'm so glad this game is on Game Pass because I don't want to give a single penny to this fuck-ass development team or company anymore. Because if their name is attached to Halo, I don't want to be a part of it. Because if you can't make a Halo 1 remake good, there is no hope for you guys at all. And if I was Asha Sharma, I would have canned your asses years ago. Long ago, after that failure of Halo Infinite. And I would tell Machine Games to make a new Halo. And you know what? In fact, I would have called the people that I laid off at ID Software and apologized and told them that I got my emails crossed up. And I would have brought them back to make a new Halo game. Because at least ID Software can make a great FPS in this day and age. Because I actually trust ID Software more to make a Halo game than I trust the people who name themselves Halo Studios. And I mean, look at what they did with Doom the Dark Ages. I mean, look at that DLC they just put out for that game. It is amazing. And yet you have these fucking idiots right here that make a game that's already made, and all they did was just put a new engine. And that was it. Nothing else. Nothing more. That's all they did. Lazy ass remake. This is one of the laziest remakes I've ever played. You know, last year I gave shit for that Gears of War Reloaded remake or remaster or whatever, but at least that game actually came out with a full single player campaign and multiplayer. And if you bought the Ultimate Edition, whether you had Game Pass or not, they gave you the game for free. So even though it was just a lazy port, I have to say they did a better job than you fucking morons did at 343. So my final verdict for this Halo campaign Evolved is to avoid it. To avoid this shit like it's Halo 5. In fact, I will go out on a limb and say Halo 5 is better than this game because at least Halo 5 actually had a multiplayer. Fuck this game. Fuck 343. That is it for me. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.